Teresa Freed with Johnson County Government. It's our goal to stop the spread of COVID-19 in our community. We also want to make sure you have the latest information on our efforts. For data on how COVID-19 is impacting the county, visit our dashboard on jocogov.org.
Dr. Sanmi Areola, Director for the Department of Health and Environment. Today I'll talk about the plan that we put out last week in terms of safely reopening our schools. There's a few things that we know that if we reduce the transmission of the virus in the community, it presents a much safer environment in which to safely open our schools. And so we have to continue to work together to drive down those two key metrics that we talked about, the number of cases that we record daily, as well as the positivity rate. If we drive those down, our target for the positivity rate is 5% or below. Those are good indicators of reduced transmission in the county. When we open schools and we bring our students together, and we bring staff and teachers together, there will be cases, and the risk of exposure is lower when community transmission is low. And if community transmission continues to increase, then the risk of exposure is high, and so will the risk of more serious adverse consequences. So together, if we continue to work on what we are doing in the past 2 to 3 weeks, we have changed the trajectory. Instead of the exponential increases that we're seeing, for a couple of weeks we saw kind of a leveling out, and this past week we saw what looked like a decrease in the number of cases. So it tells us a few things. The mask mandate is working. We are paying attention to those things. And of course, because our staff are keeping up with our case investigation and contact tracing, of course, the demand on our resources increases with more cases coming. And so collectively, if we continue to do these things, if we have our restaurants work on not being packed, if our restaurants would do what other businesses have done, requiring masks, if our restaurant will not feel like they need to maximize their capacity, those things are going to work with in helping us drive these cases further down, as well as reducing the positivity rate. I think we're on the right track, we're on the right path collectively, out of a sense of responsibility to the community. We have a few weeks before we make a final decision on how to open our schools. If we want to open our schools in the less restrictive way, if we want to open our schools with less restriction, if we want in-person and the advantages of socialization and learning in person for our schools, we need to drive this down. And that would take us wearing masks, that would take us not going into crowded environments, that would take us avoiding house parties. But I know that we can do that as a county. Thank you for your support.
For more information about COVID-19 in Johnson County, visit jocogov.org/coronavirus. You can also subscribe to a daily e-newsletter with the latest data and precautions being taken in the county and state.